Shazam, issue 15, Jeff Loveness writing with Brandon Pearson on the art, which Matt did reveal earlier that he has not read.
Yep, I not read this one.
Which is a shame, because it's actually quite a good issue. Jeff Loveness has continued to impress me with all of his fill-ins, and I'd be delighted for him to either get a Shazam ongoing or a Justice League ongoing, or whatever.
What are we seeing him on next? I know he's filling in somewhere else.
He's doing something soon.
Yeah.
But he did the 2-part story about Black Mercy and Justice League just there. He did a previous fill-in to Shazam, and then this one. The story of this one, which is very standalone, it doesn't feel like it's meant to be a climax to anything. It's just a nice little story on its own. With Billy gets a new substitute teacher. Their teacher kind of there's not really much of an explanation, I don't think. Just doesn't show up. And it's this story of how he hates this teacher. This teacher tries to explain to him that learning history is important, and just being obsessed with superheroes and robot punching and all that kind of thing. You don't understand the context. You have to understand these things. And Billy's annoyed. He skips the rest of class, goes to be Shazam and save people and doing all these other things. And he starts to question, you see, I'm helping, I'm doing things. This is all you need to do. You don't have to necessarily think about it too much. But then he comes across a burning building, and it turns out his substitute teacher is in that burning building. So he goes to save her. He's like, oh, this is a coincidence, and he's kind of awkward around her. He almost uses her name, and he has to kind of disguise the fact that he's, obviously not someone that knows her. But she doesn't want to leave immediately. She's like, no, there's other people in here. We have to help them first. And so they end up kind of working together to help everyone in the building. And Shazam, he's kind of just awkwardly tries to leave, but sees her crying on his way, away from her, and sort of comes back and says, hey, are you okay? And she hugs him. And it becomes this kind of thing where he's learning that he has to, it's more than just, saving people from burning things or catching cars and stuff like that. And they kind of come, he kind of starts to respect her more as a person. And there's also kind of a thing where he might have a crush on her as well.
As teenagers do.
Yeah, as you would expect. So it's kind of an interesting little story. It's a very Shazam unique kind of perspective, because you have the kid who's really in the in the body, and just this little moments of him being a bit more of a human and kind of growing up a little bit and learning some valuable lessons. To the point where at the end of the issue he comes in as Billy at school and apologizes for being a dick, basically. To the point where she's so untrustworthy of him, saying, wait, is this a trick? Is this for TikTok or YouTube? Although it wasn't. It was YouTube and TalkTech. Really, TalkTech? That's the best you could come up with the fake TikTok. But and he's like, no, I'm being genuine. I'm trying to be nice. So he tries to because one of the things she brings up when he's talking to her is that she's like, oh, I'm trying to get through to these kids and they never listen. I just got out of a relationship. I had to move city. My life's terrible. So he's trying to give her a break on both fronts. So it's kind of a sweet story. I will mention in the opening, because the reason why I mentioned fighting robots is because the opening before he has his day in class where he meets her. There's a scene where he's in Japan fighting a giant robot, and he's questioning, hey, is this a good robot or a bad robot? Also, when someone says bad robot, I can't help but go, bad robot, in my head. But, and he says, because I just watched the Iron Giant last night, and I don't want to hurt anyone's best friend. And then he gets punched, and he punches back, and as he's punching, he goes, Superman! And then he questions in his narration, does he like that movie, or does it make him, does it bum him out? And I thought, wait a minute, in that movie, Superman's a comic book character. This is breaking all sorts of weird meta laws here. I guess I have to accept that in the DC universe, the movie's slightly different and doesn't have the comic book element.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you could kind of say that anytime they reference, any movie, because you go through a couple of degrees and you're like, well, now this is meta.
Sure, but you have to work a little bit. But this directly has Action Comics issue 1, in the movie.
It's a very slightly edited version where it has not Action Comics, but some other comic issue 1 because there's still comics in the DC universe. We know that. Yeah,
and they base them on the real heroes. So yeah, it would just be, here's some news footage of Superman, and that would be what inspires Iron Giant instead of the comic books.
But you wouldn't have to change that much.
Yeah. But it was a sweet story of Billy once again learning to be a little bit less of a dick and actually growing up a touch.
How many times do we have to have those stories till he's not a dick?
I I mean, this is the thing though. He's not a complete dick in this issue to begin with. He's just a regular teenager. You know, because at the start of New 52 Shazam that John was writing, he was a complete little shithead. He's not a shithead. He's just, you know, he's like a lot of teenager kids at 14 or whatever.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah. I was just, I guess, taking umbrage at your description then, really.
Coming of age might be a better. He learns a little lesson. Because ultimately what he's complaining about is having to do schoolwork and learn about the past. I mean, it's not like
it does sound pretty shit.
So, I thought it was it's a weird final issue. Like, it's weird that this came after the other one, but it does feel very in the status quo of where it is right now. It's just kind of a shame there's no more Shazam to come soon. Maybe they'll do some sort of relaunch once things have calmed down with Metal and whatever they're doing afterwards. So, not that I'm expecting it in any great way, but yeah. If I'm rating this, a solid 7.5, I think. I had a good time with it. The art is generally pretty nice, especially early on when all the fire stuff is happening. Like there's a lot of nice, bright, bold, vivid colors. A lot of particles, if that makes sense. I know it's weird to talk about particle effects in a comic book, but it felt like there was a lot of little bits to it. It felt really busy in a good way. Very sparkly. Again, weird word to use to describe it, but it had an energy to it.